Hello everyone, welcome back to lesson number 12 on conjunctive adverbs. Conjunctive adverbs, we already talked about them. These are the words such as however, or for example, or on the other hand. And these we talked about these in the context of transition words. And here we are putting it in a similar context, essentially giving the formula for it, how to use them, and sort of a little bit of a review and recap on the topics that we already talked about, and bringing one example for each type of conjunctive adverbs. For example, contrast conjunctive adverbs and those kind of things. These are stuff that we already talked about, but here we're putting it all together in one place in the context of conjunctive adverbs. So the formula is when you want to connect two independent clauses to each other, you use these conjunctive adverbs. And if you review previous lesson, the focus of all the lessons so far essentially was on the compound sentences. So there are multiple ways to make compound sentences. This is one of them. In the previous lessons, we talked about the other types and why they are important in the context of IELTS exam is because you want to make transition between two ideas or connect two ideas to each other. Give cause, first independent clause as a cause, and the second independent clause as the effect of that cause, and so on and so forth. And for academic writing or in arguments, it's important to be able to make these compound sentences. So that's why at the beginning of these series, we focus a lot on making these compound sentences. So what is the formula for it is essentially the independent clause, the first independent clause, and then there's a semicolon, and then there is a conjunctive adverb. These are, again, words such as however, or phrases such as on the other hand, and you can imagine use cases for either of these words or phrases. And then comes the comma, and then comma, and then the second one, the second independent clause. So this is one type of building compound sentences. In the previous lessons, we talked about the other types. So what are the different contexts of conjunctive adverb, or what are different reasons that we want to use these conjunctive adverbs? If you go to the next page, so essentially the first one obviously is contrast. So a lot of times in the IELTS exam, you are asked to provide 2 points of view or both points of view. So this is super useful for that context. So for example, however, on the other hand, or in contrast, an example for this one is technology makes life more efficient, and then semicolon. This semicolon is super important. Nevertheless, or this n should be small n. Nevertheless, and then comma, it increases unemployment in some parts of society or in some segments of finance, in some sectors. So this is example for contrast. What is example for addition? So this is when you want to add more weight to your argument. So for example, renewable energy reduces carbon emissions In addition, comma, this comma is super important again. It creates new jobs. Okay, so let me highlight the parts that are important. So this semicolon and this colon, and again this semicolon and this colon, and in different contexts you can use these words or phrases differently. Okay, so what are more contexts? So in the context of cause and effect, you can also use these. So these are words such as therefore or consequently, or phrases such as a result. So for example, you can talk about traffic, again, urban planning and pollution and traffic. It's a topic that comes up very often. So please practice in these topics if you want. So traffic congestion is a major problem in big cities. As a result, comma, more people opting for public transport or for bicycles. And also you can use for emphasis, such as indeed, in fact, or certainly. So again, on the topic of public transport, we can say public transport is essential for urban areas, semicolon, indeed, comma, it reduces air pollution and traffic, you can say. Okay, let's highlight the important parts. Essentially, this this conjunctive adverb, and then here we have indeed again as a the conjunctive adverb that connects these two ideas to each other. Also, we have sequence. So, for example, you can some ideas follow each other or happens at the same time. So, meanwhile is for when they happen at the same time, or subsequently, the second independent clause came after or then. So, for example, you can say online shopping has become more popular meanwhile, semicolon, meanwhile, comma, traditional stores are struggling financially, you can say, or struggling to survive. And let's highlight this one as well. And that's pretty much it for this lesson. So again, please practice on these topics. Make a compound sentence using these words or phrases. And it's mostly a little bit of practice. You can sort of build that muscle of making more interesting sentences and Again, the reason that we want to do this, because a lot of times you need to connect multiple ideas to each other. So the connection between ideas is why we are doing this. And please practice this form. And that's it for today. Hopefully you liked it. See you guys in the next one. Cheers.